calling this meeting to order, this event to order, and we have four facilitators this morning. So that's Yonela Motloung, Nale, Dorothy, Chanakira, and Gary Tintinger. So what will happen is that Yonela will deal with delivering the session that is associated with delivering an evaluation that motivates. Maud will deal with the topic creating an event, not a meeting. And Dorothy Chanakira will deal with the topic engaging in coaching conversations. And then lastly, Gary Tintinger will deal with the topic of running effective hybrid meetings. I just want to ask our assistant Zoom master to switch off the doorbell for the event so that we don't keep getting the doorbell for people entering and exiting. Let's see, we don't have Chichi back on the meeting yet. Okay, so at the moment, I see we just, out of the 82 registrants for the event, we just have 14 people. So I think at this stage, we'll start with deal with the first topic in the main room. We'll see whether there are more people that joins in later. I'm going to first call then on Yonela Motloung to deal with the first topic. And I want to tell you a bit about Yonela. Yonela is the immediate past president of Central Centurion Toastmasters Club, which has been crowned a top club in Southern Africa for 2 consecutive years. In 2019, 2020, and 2020-21. She works in marketing for a global company while having great interest in entrepreneurship. She is currently the resident host of the eHub Entrepreneurial Hub, which is focused on driving entrepreneurship in South Africa. She's a career coach at Coach Yonela, and she's an event master of ceremonies. So, Yonela, we look forward to hearing you and learning from you. The screen is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Bertus. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for this training. I'm actually not by myself for today's training. I am with Tendai, and Tendai is going to be taking most of this training. Had we had different sessions, we would have split it amongst ourselves, but because we have this only one, we will let him do his magic. Let me tell you, it is going to be exciting. Just as a setup, right, for this training, we're talking about evaluating, but also evaluating in a way that is motivating. I wanted to just ask you, take you to a point where you had to be given your performance appraisal at work and you hadn't done so great for various reasons, and somebody just throws it at you. Dorothy, you know, I don't know if you want this job or not. You know, it's just bad. Immediately, when somebody delivers feedback in that way, you get crushed, literally. And so it is very, very important for us to pick the words we use when we speak, because you want to speak life and not kill the person, but help the person to get better. In Toastmasters, we have a beautiful training ground for us to learn how to give feedback, which can take us, or rather help us even at work, even in our businesses, to know how to tell Dorothy that she's not doing a great job, but in the most beautiful way possible. So today, I'm going to let Tendai take us through what he has prepared for today, which is around that. So think about how Tendai is going to give you skills on how to pick yourself up after you've really been killed by the feedback. Tendai, are you ready for us?
Yes, confirm you can hear me and see me.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Yonela, and good morning to everyone, and welcome to this session titled Evaluate to Motivate. My name is Tendai David Muranganwa. I'm as blind as a bat. One of the benefits of being a visually impaired Toastmaster is that I get to enjoy listening to your amazing voices. This morning, I hope to get an opportunity to listen to your beautiful voices as we learn from each other. So when I look at today, as a visually impaired Toastmaster, the only downside of this attraction to voices is that it can be misleading, especially if you are single and looking to mingle. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to mingle. In your own words, what is the most important thing that makes Toastmasters, the Toastmasters program, stand out? What is the most important thing that makes the Toastmasters program stand out? Who wants to be my first lucky voice that will tingle my ears? Anyone wants to take that one up? What is the one thing that makes the Toastmasters program stand out of all the other speaking programs that are out there? I seem to be getting some feedback. Any voices, beautiful voices?
Yes, a voice here, the
Yes.
safe learning environment.
Yes, that's true. I thought you were going to say beautiful ladies and suave gentlemen. Yes, definitely. Toastmasters is a great platform that gives us that safe environment. And most important of all, it also gives us an opportunity to receive feedback. Feedback is very important in Toastmasters. And one of the main sources of feedback within the Toastmasters program is through speech evaluations. And the purpose of this session, the Evaluate to Motivate session, is that it helps us to explain why speech evaluations are important in promoting high quality clubs and developing high quality clubs, and as well having great meetings every time we meet as Toastmasters. So the main objective of this training is for us to learn how to deliver quality evaluations that help speakers to improve their speaking and take their speaking to the next level. In this session, I'm going to share 3 steps that I would want us to explore that will help us to deliver those quality evaluations. And before we start, I would like Yonela, if you could please kindly share our evaluation form for our participants on the chat. If you could please kindly share the evaluation form. So this form that Yonela is going to share, I would like you to make use of it as you take down notes of this session. We are going to have a practical evaluation session at the end of this training, so that we actually get an opportunity to practice what we will be learning this morning. So I hope you'll be taking notes, and then you're going to have an opportunity to give feedback towards the end of our presentation. So let's get started. Yonela, if you could please, is the evaluation form ready before I rush you there?
It is ready, thank you. So just to confirm, Tendai, I've now shared that training evaluation practice document that you have, then the one where the second one will be shared a bit later, is that correct?
Yes, that's true.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And if you could please put up our first slide. If you could please put up our first slide for this session.
Okay, I will do that shortly. Just talk. Give me a second to do that.
Yes, so as you also get to see the evaluation form, it's just a form that explains what I'll be doing this evening, what we'll be doing together. So I would appreciate any feedback that you could give at the end of the session. Is that a cough to hint that we are ready, Yonela?
No, it is somebody else.
Somebody else. You see, this is the disadvantage of being blind. You can't see what's happening, so you just assume things. I hope they make slides with voices very soon.
Just so you know, Tendai, there's a lot of talent on the set. So put your best game for.
Yes, we are in search of talent. I hope we are ready to go. Are we up and running, Yonela?
Yes, in a second. I'll tell you just shortly. I see they downloaded as PDFs, which means it's going to disrupt the flow. So I just want to put them quickly in one file. And as a motivated person that I am, should be done in the next 2 seconds.
It's fine. Once we wait for Yonela to have the slide up. How many of us have been how many of us have been to the doctors? How many of us have been to the doctors, or you've been to the doctors with a family, with a loved one? Voices.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
So what's one of the first things that happens when you go to the doctors? The very first thing that happens when you go to the doctors. You go to the theater room.
Consultation room first.
Consultation room, yes. So that's the first step actually in the process of evaluation. It's consultation. You never go to the theater room. You never allow your doctor to operate you before you first have a consultation where your doctor actually asks you, gets to find out what's wrong with you. They check your medical history. And I think the same is very true for the Toastmasters program. Before anyone speaks, I think it's ideal for us as evaluators to take time to have a consultation with the speaker to find out where they are in their learning path, what goals they have, and what they are trying to achieve through the presentation. Sadly, I don't know about your experience, but the one thing ever since I became a Toastmaster in 2015, we don't do those consultations that much. Is this familiar to you? You get to a meeting, you don't have an evaluator, the Vice President Education is trying to look for an evaluator for you, you get the evaluator is asking on the platform, please send me the evaluation form. So this is what's mostly happening in our meetings. And unfortunately, when we start that way, we are setting up for failure, and particularly for the speaker, we are doing them a disservice. So it's very important when we are starting our evaluations as evaluators to always consult with our speaker. What is it that they want from the evaluations? What is it that they are working on? I remember when I became a Toastmaster in 2015, once upon a time, you know, most of the times when we take on leadership roles, we never get evaluated. So what I did was that I wanted to be evaluated for my role as general evaluator. And I met an amazing lady called Distinguished Toastmaster Chanakira from here in Zimbabwe. And one of the things that she did was that during that meeting, I gave her my evaluation in the meeting. And after the meeting, she said, you know what, Tendai, I'll be doing a disservice to you if I give you a whitewash or I just allow you to proceed. What I want you to do is to try the project again. And this time around, I want us to be able to share what it is that you want to learn, what it is that you want to achieve from this program. So I believe this is one of the ways that we can actually make, it's the foundation of evaluation, getting an opportunity to start by speaking to our evaluators. What is it that they want to work on? I don't know about you. What has been your experiences? First of all, maybe as a speaker, I want to find out as a speaker, do evaluators speak to you before the meeting? If anyone could kindly share on the platform, what has been your experience with evaluators as a speaker from the point of view of a speaker, and how did you feel from that point of view? Voices.
Thanks, Tendai. Before somebody speaks, I just want to let you know the first slide is up, so thank you.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you, Yonela. Voices, and please say your name. You never know. Please say your name and then your voice. Voices. Anyone
Hi, it's
wants
Linda
to?
Nkos.
Yes, Linda, you can go ahead.
Hi. So my experience with evaluators was kind of a mixed match. So most of the evaluators I got, I was fortunate enough to get people who'd match the level that I'm on with the project that I'm doing. So if I was a level 5, you get a level 5 speaker or above. If you're a level 1, you get a level 2 and above. So they kind of understand already what is expected of me. And they give me tips afterwards that, okay, I know what I said at the during your evaluation, but maybe try this a bit more, or they'd follow up on that afterwards, that maybe try this and this is what you could work on better. So yeah.
Wow. And did you feel empowered, like afterwards, after the evaluation, did you feel like your evaluator really went all out in giving you value for your evaluation?
Yes, most definitely. It even went as far as someone even commenting on my presentation and saying, maybe rather than putting, I think I put a pig on my presentation, they're like, rather than putting a pig, try a more relatable picture to convey your message more succinctly.
Thank you, Linda, for that feedback. I think it's definitely important that we get to communicate with our evaluators. As evaluators, we need to contact our speakers so that we get to know where they are in their path and what it is that we are looking out for. So in terms of this session, this part of consultation, the action step for us is, let's get in touch with our speakers before we evaluate them. Let's find out what it is that they expect from us. We can't just go into the theater room and then start operating without actually finding out what it is that they want us to focus on. So that's the first step, consultation. Let's consult with our speakers. Let's get the evaluation form before the meeting. And I do hope we get to a place where we don't have this scenario where, someone gets the evaluator just before the meeting or in the meeting, and then people asking for evaluations. I think it also shows some level of unprofessionalism, especially when we have guests. Imagine guests are coming through, you are throwing around evaluation forms whilst the meeting is taking place. So I think it's something that we need to work on. Let's prepare before the meeting. Then we move on to our second step in the evaluation process, which is diagnosis. So the doctor we've gone into the consultation room, like what Titi said. The doctor has discovered what it is, that our medical history and everything else that is in terms of our health and our bodies and what we are looking for. The next step for the doctor could be, so this is now where we are in the meeting, excuse me, this is now where we are in the meeting and we are getting to evaluate the speaker. Yonela, if you could please put up our second slide.
Yes, it is up, Tendai, thanks.
I have the memory of a teaspoon, so sometimes I come in drops. So that's the first step. The second step is for us to make sure that we are now diagnosing correctly what the speaker is looking out for when they are speaking, when they are presenting their talk. So what do we do during the meeting? We listen. That's very important. If you are going to be an evaluator, you need to listen at what they are saying, what their presentation is all about. Focus. Remember, if it was in the old days, would have the CC1 to CC5, your body language, your vocal variety, and all those aspects of your presentation. In particular, focusing on the objectives that the speaker is working on. That really works well. And then when we are evaluating, I think it's also important that we don't evaluate the speaker, but to evaluate the presentation. Yonela, if you could please put up slide number 3.
Yes, done. Thank you.
Yes. Can anyone tell me, since you are all my eyes as well, can anyone tell me what they see? Anyone? Voices.
It's Gary, and I can see a beautiful smile.
A beautiful smile, yes. That's
with a lot of detail in the face.
Yes. That's what happens. Remember our second slide with the doctor doing some operations there. So if you then evaluate, if you then don't diagnose properly, that's what the slide 3 is what happens when evaluations go wrong. So we want to make sure that when we evaluate our speakers, let's evaluate the presentation and not the speaker themselves. And this is something that is very close to my heart because as a visually impaired Toastmaster, I sometimes get, when I present, I sometimes get evaluations where I notice that people might be feeling sorry for me or maybe a bit of sympathy there and there. But at the end of the day, I don't feel like I got the actual evaluation that I needed. Instead, I got an evaluation that I wanted to hear, where someone focuses on the visual impairment instead of focusing on what I did as a presenter. So it's always a challenge. And I go back again to Linda, when she gave me that evaluation, she really showed that she cared about me as a speaker and she really wanted me to improve. And what she did was that she then gave me points focusing on what I was doing rather than who I was, or in terms of my physical aspects or physical disability. So it's very important when you are evaluating your speakers to make sure that you are focusing on their presentation, what they said, and not who they are. Because sometimes if you then focus on who they are, you might not necessarily give them what they want to hear, what they need to hear, but to give them what they want to hear. So we move on to, so that's step number 1. We said you consult. Step number 2, you diagnose. And then the last step in our evaluation process is prescription, or to prescribe. Yonela, if you could please kindly put up our last slide.
Done.
Happy doctor, yes. So when everything is said and done, the doctor is consulted, they've diagnosed, they've identified not necessarily symptoms, but causes of what it is that's wrong with you, or not necessarily what's wrong with you, but what you can improve. The next step is to give the prescription. So this is where we want to give people, our speakers, evaluations where they actually can have something practical that they can apply after the meeting. I'll give you an example of something that happened to me. So this year, one of my goals is to be a facilitator and a trainer. And I remember the very first training that I did, I failed dismally when it came to slides and visuals. I had 0 slides and visuals, and I took a big knock from that. But the one thing that my evaluators, I had Jasmine Hecht as one of my evaluators, and also I had Jim Kokoki as one of my evaluators. And one of the things that they said to me was that, you know what, Tendai, since you are visually impaired, you don't have to stress out about the visuals. Find a Zoom master, find someone who can actually help you with the slides, find someone who can assist you with all the issues to do with visuals. And ever since that evaluation, I actually got something practical from those evaluations that I could actually apply. And ever since, I've been applying that feedback to all my meetings, whether I'm serving as topics master and I want to share some slides, I just reach out to my Zoom master. But this only came out after someone had given me a practical evaluation or practical recommendations that I could actually apply moving forward in my presentations. So this is, I think, something that is important. You want to give practical evaluations, practical feedback, sorry. And I think at the same time, when you're giving practical evaluations, it's also important to be honest. You don't want to whitewash people. And we can tell when people are whitewashing us. You can tell, you know, this person said this just because, you know, they want to be kind, they don't want to be too harsh. But I think it's important that when you are giving evaluations, be honest, be truthful. Here in Zimbabwe, I remember around 2015, 2016, if you were told that distinguished Toastmaster Priscilla Chinengo, distinguished Toastmaster Devson Nube, or distinguished Toastmaster Edmo Gamdani, or distinguished Toastmaster Linda Chimanikere were going to be your evaluators, you knew you're in for it, not because, you know, they were too harsh, but they would tell you the honest truth. They would tell you where you need to improve, and you'd become a better person after that. And this is the reason why I've been sharing a lot about Linda Chimanikere. even though she evaluated me almost about 5-6 years ago, I still have a high regard and respect for her because she told me what I needed to know. So now I would also want to find out maybe from us in the call, what has been your experiences? Maybe if you could share some of your experiences with your past evaluators, what evaluators stood out for you and what was the recommendations that they gave you in their evaluations? Voices, and names, name and voice. Anyone? Any takers? Am I now? I think I'm also becoming deaf as well. Any voices? Any voices? Anyone wants to share their own experiences from past evaluators, the evaluators that they have high regard of from the recommendations that they received?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Titi, am I audible? My network is on and off.
Okay, that's fine.
Can I go ahead? I'm clear?
We can hear you, yeah.
Yes, you can.
Excellent.
Yeah.
The feedback that I received that totally transformed me in my early stages of being a Toastmaster was from my mentor, who happened to be my evaluator for a particular speech that I was giving. I did a second speech as a continuation from the first one. And I assumed in my speech that the same audience will be the audience that I'll be presenting to. So I carried on as if, and it was a different meeting. So when he gave me feedback, he told me that you gave us the speech, assuming that we all have heard the first one. You can't take anything for granted. When you want to link your previous speech that you gave in the last meeting, don't assume everyone in the current meeting was there in the previous meeting. So design and craft your message such that it can bring the previous speech into the current speech in order for everyone to grasp the entire message. So the lesson I learned from there was never take anything for granted. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Titi, for that feedback. Yes, and that's true. That's what we want from as evaluators. We want to be able to give evaluations that people will be able to remember for years and years. Evaluations, feedback that people will be able to actually apply, not only within Toastmasters, but even outside of Toastmasters. Yonela, can you please confirm Maud is on the call?
I did see her join the meeting. Let us just see Maud. Voice, please, Maud.
Yes, I picked your Maud because...
Hi, leaders, good morning. I am here and I'm ready to go if you are.
Yes, I just wanted to find out your experiences from being an evaluator and also the feedback that you've received from past evaluators that has changed your life.
Good morning, fellow leaders. I think, like you mentioned, Tendai, it's important that we firstly give feedback to motivate, but also be honest so that the person knows what they did well and should continue doing, but also what they could do to take their speeches to the next level. And so with the feedback, I also look at where the person is in their speaking journey. So someone who's starting off may not, or we try not to be harsh is what I'm trying to say. But if someone is on a level 5, they could do with a little bit more stronger feedback on more things that they could work on. But if someone's starting on their journey, telling them perhaps about the content of your speech may not be the best evaluation for them at that time. So I think as evaluators, we also need to be mindful of where the speaker is on their pathway's journey so that we're able to give them feedback in line with that. But that has been overall my experience with being an evaluator. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Madam Maud. Thank you for that feedback. Yes, that's true. You also need to take into consideration where the person is. So on a lighter note, if it's a new Toastmaster, one lash should be fine. If it's a distinguished Toastmaster, maybe 50 lashes would do the trick. But we definitely want to give feedback, grow and mature. Madam Yonela, how are we doing on time?
Very good. We have 5 minutes to go if you want to take questions, and then we hand over. Okay, 4 minutes now, and then we hand over to the next speaker.
That's fine. For a moment, I thought the time was on load shedding, but that's fine. Yes. So maybe I would like to just share a story that I feel would be that speaks to the power of hospitalized and diagnosed with meningitis. And after the illness, I became visually impaired. After I was discharged from hospital, my first friend came and he expressed his shock by saying, "I can't believe that you had meningitis and lost your sight. I always thought you were so active and healthy." He left and I felt alienated and somehow very different. My second friend came and he brought with him various information on sight loss treatments. And he said to me, "Tendai, whatever you do, don't go for rehabilitation. They will make you accept your condition." He left and I felt scared and confused. My third friend came and he tried to answer my whys by saying, "Perhaps God is punishing you for some sin in your life." He left and I felt guilty. My fourth friend came and he told me, "Tendai, remember that all things work together for them that trust in the Lord." He left and I felt angry. My fifth friend came and he said to me, "Tendai, don't worry. Remember this, that you remember that it's nothing, there's nothing to worry about in terms of being blind." I also felt confused and I didn't understand what he was meaning. My sixth friend never came at all. I felt sad and alone. My seventh friend came and he held my hand and said to me, "Tendai, I'm here for you and I'm here to be with you through this." When he left, I felt loved. I gave a presentation at a Toastmasters meeting. My evaluator gave me my evaluation form and he said A, B, C, D, E. He left and I'll leave you to finish that thought. As we go out there and serve as evaluators, let us remember this, that people don't care about how much we know. They want to know how much we care. A great evaluator touches the heart before they ask for an evaluation form. I would like to thank you all for being a part of this evaluation session. I don't know, Yonela, if you might have time for question and answers and maybe feedback, if we didn't stretch it too much on time.
No, we do not have time for questions, but I think people can drop them on the chat and we will respond on the chat rather to make better use of the technology we have. And thank you so much to you, Tendai. Great job done.
Yes, and if you could please kindly share the last evaluation form. So this is a resource where it speaks, there are so many articles that I've put in there that can also help you to put more flesh to what I was talking about in terms of evaluation, so that you can have quality evaluations the next time that you're asked to serve as an evaluator. And I would like to thank you all for this time and for your amazing voices. I had hoped to hear so many more beautiful voices, but I know that throughout this morning we'll be able to hear them. Thank you, and over to you, Yonela.
Thank you. So many comments on the chat saying great job, amazing presentation, brilliant, brilliant. So well done, Tendai. Thank you so much. A lot of people clapping. You can't hear, but I will do it on behalf of everyone. Thank you. Back to you, Bertus.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you to Tendai and thank you to Yonela. Let's give them another round of applause. Okay, I think Tsitsi is still having technical problems on her side, so I will proceed with this. Our next facilitator up is Nale, and Maud is going to deal with the topic of creating an event, not a meeting. So I'm immediately going to hand over to you, and Maud, just indicate when I should show your slides. Thanks, Maud.
Thank you so much to you, Mr. Zoom Master, for that warm introduction. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters. How many times have you been to an event that did not wow you? How many times have you been to an amazing event that you still remember many days and weeks later? Today, we're going to speak about one of those amazing events in the hope that you will take your Toastmasters meetings and transform them into an amazing event. We're going to spend 5 minutes, Toastmasters, sharing our experience in the chat box. Mr. Zoom Master, if you could launch the presentation, please, I would be very grateful. Let us meet an amazing event. Now, we're not really interested in the actual event itself, but what really stood out for you in that amazing event? And you can start while the presentation is launching. Just the next slide, please. What, you can stay here, recall a time when
Hi, Bertas.
Yeah, I just want to check. It seems we've lost sound from the
Yes.
audio from Maud.
Yes, we have. Okay.
Let me ask Maud. Please check. We cannot hear you. Your microphone is on. I want to ask Linda Kushle, are you ready to take over at this point? Until Maud comes back?
Unfortunately, no. Can we move on to the next speaker?
Okay,
I see Maud has just come back in, Bertus. So maybe just a few seconds for her to connect audio.
Okay, just a moment. Then we'll hold on instead of moving on to the next speaker.
Fantastic, thanks.
Leaders, apologies, I was unceremoniously booted out of that meeting, but thankfully I have a backup device and we're back. I don't know if I missed anything that possibly came through the chat box, Bertus, about what stood out at that event. Am I still audible?
You
Yes,
are
you
now
are.
You are now audible. I have not yet checked the chat box.
Leaders, do we attend events? Have we attended events? Yes, Yonela?
I wanted to help you. Gary did comment to say he went to a well-organized event, and that's the comment from the chat. Then you can take it from there.
Great, a well-organized event. So leaders, let me help you because 2 weeks ago, I attended an online event. It was called the Standard Bank Top Woman, and I was wowed by that event. But even before then, there were a few online events that I attended. But before this online situation, there were lots of in-person events that I attended. And I'm going to tell you some of my experiences and let me know if we've missed out anything. So Mr. Zoom Master, if we could launch the second slide, please. The things that stood out for me. Number one, there was an invitation that was sent out, not the day before, not on the day, but a few weeks before the event. Now that really wowed me because I was able to put this event into my diary in advance, and I knew way ahead that there was this event that was coming. The next one, please, Mr. Zoom Master. You can just increase the speed and I'll get to your event. Then there was an invitation that was sent out in advance. It had all the details. It had the date, it had the time, it had the venue, it had the dress code, and it had contact details, and it told me what I needed to expect. For the online event that I went to, there was even a notice of what platform we're going to use. And then there were reminders, there were countdowns. 2 weeks to go, 1 week to go, 2 days ago, 1 week to go. This is who's the speaker going to be. This is what we're going to talk about. And then when I attended the event, there was branding everywhere. There was no ambiguity as to where am I, what is going on, do I turn left or do I turn right? Branding and signage everywhere. You knew where you were. And then as you got to the event, there was a host there who was welcoming you. Hello, welcome to this event. It's lovely to have you with us. What is your name? Ticking off your name. Please go through. This is there, that is there. So there was a host that was welcoming you when you arrived. And then let's not forget the welcome drinks. We all go for the welcome drinks. They ask you alcoholic or non-alcoholic. There's waiters going around with snacks. They'll probably even eat during the event. If it's a sit-down event, there's starters, mains, desserts. There is food there. Then there's an ambiance. There's some music, soft music in the background, maybe a violin, some jazz music, but there is some kind of an ambiance. There's also networking. People in clusters speaking, exchanging business cards. There's conversation that is going on, not only before the event, but also after. Mr. Zoomaster, there were lots of things that stood out for me. I was recalling it. Let's not forget the photographer. Now, I'm always looking for the photographer because I always want pictures, and perhaps I'm taking my own pictures, but there's always a photographer who's there taking pictures throughout the event. In fact, I've never been to an event where there's been no photographer, especially in-person events. I'm yet to attend one, but there's always a photographer. Why? Because they want to capture those moments for their social media and for their communication platforms. And that becomes and people love seeing themselves. I know people say they don't like pictures, but trust me, they do. People love seeing themselves, and that's why you have that photographer. Mr. Zoomaster, I've got more things that have stood out for me, and you can just launch them as we go along. I'll keep up to your pace. Then you got there, the tables were set up. There were no people scuffling and setting up tables. There have been one or two, I have had it though. But a lot of the events, tables already set up, things are there. The program is on the table. So you know what you're going to expect as you get there. The event started on time. Now, I must put out a disclaimer. There were a few events where it didn't start on time, but the MC would come up on stage and say, we're running a few minutes late, or we're just waiting for a few people, but you kind of knew that the event was going to start at a specific time. And then there was the
we might have lost Maud again. Can anybody else hear her?
Nope, I think she's gone.
When you speak, there's
She's
always applause. Sorry?
We lost
Okay.
you for about 30 seconds or a minute there.
Apologies. I'll switch off my camera just to see if that will help at all. And when every speaker was done speaking, there was applause. The crowd was applauding each speaker. And as each speaker arrived onto the virtual stage, the same thing happened. Mr. Zoomaster, I hope I'm still audible. If you can continue to launch the bullet points, please. I'll keep up to you. And then there was a goodie bag. We love goodie bags. That's one of the things I miss about in-person events. There was a goodie bag. You were waiting to see what was in the goodie bag. The day after, you would have received a thank you message of sort, whether it was an email or an SMS. I hope I'm still here because I don't see myself on the screen. There was a thank you message, and then they told you that the pics were on their social media. They told you where to find them. They possibly sent you a link and maybe invited you to like their social media pages. And then you could see yourself there on the social media pages. And then there was repeat communication. Now, especially this event that I attended 2 weeks ago, just yesterday, I got a call from these people saying, you attended this Top Woman conference. How did you find it? What was your experience? So there was repeat communication. They didn't just invite me to the events. Please, back to the previous slide. They didn't just invite you to the events, but they kept speaking to me days and even weeks after the event. And so Toastmasters, these are some of the things that stood out for me. Let us know in the chat box if I missed out anything. But I have a question for you, which is the next slide. What if you thought of your club meetings, not as meetings, but as events? Now, I don't know about you, but there's a certain connotation for me that comes across when I think of meetings. I love to think of meetings as office. We have them at the office. We have meetings where there's an agenda, and I think of them as the office, as meetings. And so whenever I hear that a club calls their Toastmasters gatherings meetings, I kind of already have a connotation in my mind of how things are going to go based on my experience at the office. We're encouraging you this morning to, instead of thinking as your gatherings as Toastmasters meetings that we have at the office with an agenda, that you think of them as events. And if you thought of them as events, and bearing in mind everything that I've just spoken about of what stood out for me and possibly you, what would that do in the mind of your guests, in the mind of your visitors, in the mind of your members? Would they participate at that event? When you invited them to the next one, would they say yes? Would they RSVP? Would they return? And if they enjoyed this experience so much, would they join your club? And as we move on to the next slide, I've put together, based on my experience of the things that stood out, how we Toastmasters can create events and not meetings. Mr. Zoom Master just launched them, and I will keep to your pace. Invite your guests at least 2 weeks before the event. Now, most of our clubs meet twice a month, every alternate week. We recommend that in the week after, or the week when your club is not meeting, be already inviting your guests. In fact, invite your guests the day after your club has met, so that you give them enough notice. It doesn't mean that because your event is online, someone can accept an invitation on the day before. Aim to invite them at least 2 weeks before. And when you do so, make sure that that invitation has all the information. They know the dates, the time, the venue. If it's online, which platform are we using? Is it Zoom? Is it Teams? Is it Skype? Which platform? Is there a dress code? What are the contact details and what they can expect when they get there? Now, in terms of the venue, that's really important. If your club is in a hybrid setting, let your guests know that it's a hybrid setting. And if you want to join online, this is the platform, this is the setup. If it's in person, this is where it's on. This is where it is, apologies. With regards to the platform, please do not put the Zoom or the Teams link on the platform. We've seen Zoom bombers, they're still there in full force. And that is why the contact details become very handy, so that if someone wants to RSVP, they're either calling or they're emailing. I'm seeing a lot of posters that don't have contact details, which makes it difficult for our guests to find you if they need to, or if they want to attend your event. And then those who've RSVP'd, remind them leading up to the event. Don't assume that because Maud RSVP'd 2 weeks ago that she's going to remember. Send some reminders, send countdowns, keep your event top of my mind. And then, just like any event in person, aim to arrive there no later than 15 minutes before the event starts. Now, 15 minutes is actually lenient. We aim to be there at least an hour before, but a lot of us are still meeting online. 15 is almost the maximum. There are lots of guests who will come from work or come from somewhere or join in from their phones from a different location. And it looks bad, or it doesn't send a good impression when they log on to your event link and there's no one there. So please aim to be there at least 15 minutes maximum, no later than 15 minutes before. I've been to club events where 5 minutes before it's still saying waiting for the host to start the meeting, and that doesn't send a good impression. Most of our guests will end up leaving and they will not return, so please be mindful about that. And then, just like in person, when we have a welcome party, it would be lovely if a guest walked in and there was someone, or at least a group of people there to welcome the guest. We recommend either a party or a group of people from within the club led by your Vice President of Public Relations, or ideally a few of your exco members who are there to welcome them, to create that feeling of warmth and that feeling of welcome. And then if your club is meeting in person, it would be nice to have some drinks or some snacks. When I say drinks, Toastmasters, I'm not necessarily talking about alcoholic ones. Please be mindful of that. But some snacks and some drinks either before or during your recess would be great. And then that ambiance. Now, I know you're thinking, but online we cannot create an ambiance. Absolutely, we can. Create some welcome slides. Have a welcome slide so that I know as Maud that I'm in the right place. I am at this Creating Successful Clubs series, webinar or session, and this is what I can expect. So that I know that I'm in the right place. You can even play some soft music. Just be mindful of the volume if there's some networking that's taking place, which is my next point, networking. If someone's there on their own, I've been to events, even in Toastmasters, where there's silence between the guest entering the room and when the meeting starts or when the event starts. So just be mindful of that networking. And then you can take pictures in an online environment. So a photographer or a paparazzi, we have a paparazzi at my home club, someone there who's taking pictures, who's capturing the moments for your social media pages, because this can become either stock images for your future invitations, or it can become a report back on your social media, telling your guests or telling your social media followers about your Toastmasters events. But I've put a disclaimer there. Just let your guests know that we do take pictures here. In case anyone has a problem, they can alert you, and then you can perhaps remove them from those pictures or don't use those pictures containing those guests. Mr. Zoomaster, to the next slide, please. As we continue to share ideas on how to create events and not meetings, the program Toastmasters needs to be finalized in advance. I'm attending a lot of Toastmasters events where they're still scrambling at the event, looking for role players in the event. Does not send a good impression to our guests. And then you've got this program, it has been finalized. Your guests did not receive it. It may have been put in your members group, but be mindful of that by showing the program on the screen and sharing it also in the chat box. Just in case someone comes in late, didn't see your welcome slides, they can see the program and show it at different points within the program. Better yet, some clubs even have welcome slides to welcome their next speaker, depending on the type of ambiance that you're wanting to create at your club. Start your events on time, Toastmasters, and end them on time. I know out there in the world, there's this connotation that we'll wait a few minutes for a few people to start. At Toastmasters, it's a skill that we learn, timekeeping. Respect people's time. Please do not let your event overrun, and do not start it late either. Let's always just be mindful of people's time. We have a master of ceremonies at an event, and we also have that person in Toastmasters. They are called the Toastmaster. They direct proceedings and they welcome speakers. Speaking of speakers, when you go to an event, there's an applause before any speaker comes up, and there's one after they speak. Why would we not do the same even within an online environment? I want to encourage you, whether that speaker is starting on their journey or on a level 5 or a distinguished Toastmaster, when every speaker comes onto the virtual stage, unmute yourself and applaud if time allows, or even put the applaud emoticon so that you acknowledge the efforts of that speaker. And then, Mr. Zoomaster, if you could launch, please. I will keep to your speed so that we respect time. Give your guests a guest pack. How many times are guests coming? They attend this amazing Toastmasters event, and then you tell them thank you. There's no recall of what to expect, when is the next event. There's nothing. Give them a guest pack that tells them a little bit about Toastmasters. And also, this is a great opportunity to ask for that sale. Let them know that they can join Toastmasters and become part of it, how they can become part of it. You can also give an online pack, even if your club is still meeting in an online setting. The following day, Most of us, our clubs meet in the evenings. If your club meets during the day, you can send the message during the day, but a lot of clubs do meet in the evening, and it's not really great to receive a message at 9 p.m. The following day, just make sure at least by 10, 12 o'clock latest, you thank your guests for coming. When I was the president at my club, I had a template that I asked our VPPR to create, and I would send that to every guest myself, personally thanking them for coming to our events, letting them know that our vice president of membership will reach out to them, finding out from them about their experience and inviting them to two things. Firstly, to our next event, giving them the date, time, venue, etc., and extending an invitation to them to join our friends group. We have a Friends of Randburg Toastmasters group where we put all our guests in that group so that we can continue to engage with them. The pictures that we take at our events, in person and online, we take those pictures and we put them on our social media. Now, I've noticed a lot of clubs, the vice president of public relations or the Zoom master takes pictures and then they put it in the WhatsApp group. And not really great. An opportunity is missed there. What I've recommended to a lot of vice presidents of public relations is, instead of putting those pictures in your WhatsApp group, crop them, edit them nicely, put a gallery, make a gallery on your social media. A lot of clubs are on Facebook. Create a gallery of images on your social media. Write a little bit of a snippet of what this event was about. Invite guests to your following meeting. And then you copy that gallery and you take that link and you put that link in your members group, in your guest group, so that members can go to social media. It serves two purposes. It creates engagement, but also makes people feel like they were part of something. All my pictures there. And remember what I said previously, people love seeing themselves on social media. And once you've asked them and they've given you permission, they're likely going to download the picture from your social media, which is going to do well for the algorithms of your particular page. Don't forget to invite them to become parts of your page if they're not. And that's how you're going to keep them engaged, keep them coming back, keep them part of the community. And then, like a normal event, repeat communication. Don't just keep them in your friends group and then you only speak to them one day before the event and try and create the hype. It's not going to work. Repeated communication. Now, this will involve the vice president of public relations as well as the vice president of membership, because that guest is in the middle of wanting to participate and wanting to join. That middle spot is very, very crucial. It's usually the point where the guest decides, do I become a member or do I try another club, or what do I do? So you want to keep them repeatedly communicated and complete and speaking to them. Apologies for that cut at the bottom. What was there was, if your club has a friends of group, ask for their permission. In South Africa, we've got the Protection of Personal Information Act. We can't just add people to groups. It's not permitted. So you could do one of two things. You could either ask for their permission to add them to the group, or what I do is I send you the link and I say, you are more than welcome to join our Friends of group, where we send regular updates about all our upcoming events and we share tips about Toastmasters. Then you send them that link, they join when they are ready, and that way you're able to communicate with them. The beauty of having that friends group is that they all stay in one place and you're able to communicate with people in one place instead of having to do it in multiple sessions. A lot of people may or may not join the group. Do not take it personally, but just make sure that you continuously communicating with them, because who knows, that guest could become your next member. I've shared a lot, Toastmasters. Please move on to the next slide, Mr. Zoom Master. And we're all about exceeding expectations this year, because every member matters. And every guest matters too, because they may become your next member. And we want to exceed their expectations by creating wow events so that they feel welcome. They're able to participate, or they feel like they want to participate at this event. A lot of times they're going to return, and I can tell you, enjoy themselves. So the virtue of the fact that a guest returns means they probably liked something there, or you piqued their interest with maybe one or two of the elements of your event. And when they keep coming back and they keep coming back, and then eventually they conquer that fear, they join your event, or they join your club. Better yet, they join your club. And so Toastmasters, I hope I've piqued your interest. I hope we've shared some events. I hope that you're going to take your club meetings and turn them into events that wow, so that you can exceed the expectations of your guests. And hopefully, we trust that they will join and become members, because as we say here in District 74, every member matters. I've dropped my contact details, Toastmasters. If you're wanting to reach out, you're more than welcome to email or WhatsApp or a call. Any one of those will do. I don't know how we're doing for time, Mr. Zoom Master, and if there's time for any questions or comments. I saw a comment that the slides were not clear. My details are there. If you want to receive the slides, you're more than welcome to reach out to me, and I will send those to you. Back to you, Mr. Zoom Master.
Okay, Maud, you still have a few minutes, 10 minutes possibly, slightly less than 10 minutes. Do you want to have any questions and answers session?
Yes, I will more than welcome. I went through it very quickly because I just wanted to get through the presentation and share all the ideas. So maybe you could assist me. I can see the questions and the comments as they come through, but maybe if I've missed one or two, you could assist me with those. That would be greatly appreciated. Toastmasters, and as we wait for those questions, is there anything that we've spoken about that's piqued your interest? Is there anything perhaps that we've missed out? Did you find the session useful? Is there anything that you feel I may have excluded as we creating, or as we move from creating Toastmasters meetings like the ones we have at the office to creating events, even in this online environment?
There was no questions in the chat box. There were no questions in the chat box.
So I'll give us about 30 seconds to ask any questions or comments. I don't know, I'm looking a bit blurry. Please give me a second. There are no questions in the chat box. Thank you so much for your feedback. Toastmasters, it's very important that we create a wow experience for our guests. As many of us have attended events, I'm sure you have attended at least one event at some point in your life, be it in person or online. That experience is what is memorable. I've been to many events that didn't quite hit the mark for me, but I've also been to many that did. And I find the ones that are memorable are the ones that I remember to this day, are the ones that I probably interact with months and weeks and months after the event has taken place. I'd like to encourage you to use some of the points that we've discussed this morning to take your Toastmasters meetings and transform them into events. And you could start small. You don't have to overhaul your events and try to do everything at once. Maybe just work on one point at your upcoming meeting next week or the week after, and then add another, and add another, and add another. I also want to encourage you to take what we've discussed and deconstruct it with your leadership team, because to create a wow experience does not only vest on you. It rests on the entire leadership team or your executive committee to create that experience. Deconstruct what we discussed. Maybe you've been taking screen grabs, or I can share the presentation with you, and look at how you can create that wow experience for your guests at your upcoming events. This year, we're all about exceeding expectations. And if we're going to exceed expectations, we need to wow our guests so that they can participate, so that they can attend, and so that they can return and join our club as members. If members don't have a wow experience, they are not going to participate, and they are not going to return. And so I hope and I trust that you found the presentation useful. My details yet again were in the presentation. You can send me a direct message during the course of today and I will be able to respond to you, or I'll share my number with you if you perhaps missed it. It's been an honor bringing this presentation to you. Thank you so much for your time and for your attention as we exceed expectations this Toastmasters year, because as we say right here in District 74, every member matters. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Maud, there had been some questions streaming in after you asked. I see Tendai's hand was up. So the first one is Fanyana Kakana asking, what if you have social media phobia or hate social media? So that's the first question.
Okay, so I don't know if, to the Toastmaster, I don't know if you're the one with social media phobia or it's the guest that's social media phobia. If it's you that has social media phobia, remember that we have social media at our clubs and it's not for us. The social media is for our guests because we want to attract guests to our club. And it does happen a lot of times where maybe you're not on, so maybe you the VPPR and you're not on social media, or the club is on Facebook, but you're not on Facebook, for example. That is going to be something that you will need to either speak with your leadership team and something that you will need to get over. Because remember, if every member matters, we need to go where our prospective members are. And if they're on Facebook, but you're not, that's something that maybe you need to have to consider as a vice president of public relations is, how do I let the world know about my club, even though I'm not on that platform? And so that's something that you may need to consider, consult your team, but look at it and see what other options are out there. If the guest is the one with social phobia, and I mentioned in the presentation, ask your guests for permission. With the Protection of Personal Information Act, which is in South Africa and may not be in other parts of District 74, is you've got to ask people for their permission to put them anywhere. And so if someone comes to you and says, I have reservations with being on social media, then you as the Vice President of Public Relations or your Vice President of Public Relations would need to crop them out of that picture because they've asked you. Please make sure that you seek your guest's permission before you put them on your social media, because unfortunately something like Zoom and Teams does show your name, much like it does this morning, and we don't want to find ourselves upsetting our guests because we did something that they asked us not to do. I hope I've answered your question, Toastmaster. If not, please engage me in the chat box and I'll gladly take that conversation further. Was there any other question, Mr. Chair?
There are two more written questions, but let's give Tendai an opportunity. His hand was up at some stage. Tendai, do you still want to ask your question?
Yes, confirm you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Yes, I just wanted to maybe just add on what you were sharing through an experience that I've had with one of the clubs that I'm a member of. One of the things that we've done is to have themed meetings. So like for last week, we had a meeting around the Day of the Dead and Halloween. And I can tell you that creating events is a great platform to draw members. That's how we've actually been able to add new members. So I think it's a great way to really get new members on board and also to add variety in your meetings rather than just having, the ordinary standard meetings that we have. Events are the way to go. So thank you for that, Maud. I really learned a lot from your presentation.
Thank you so much to you, Tendai. Like I mentioned in my presentation, Toastmasters, it's a connotation thing. Because we have meetings at the office and we have meetings with clients and we have meetings, it kind of plays with your mind. And you know that a meeting has an agenda and it's a mind thing. So if you create an event with an ambiance, with all some of the things that we discussed, you almost elevate your Toastmasters experience in the mind of that guest. And who knows, they may participate, they likely will come back and they likely will join. So don't take that experience for granted and think, oh, it's just another meeting. In the mind of that guest, it's an experience. And you want to create a Toastmasters experience that wows. Hope that I've clarified that. If there's any questions yet again, please do send me a DM in the chat box. Back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Maud. I want to say there are two more questions, but no more time left. We will have access to the chat afterwards. And from that chat, we can hand it to you to answer. Thanks a lot. And let's give Maud a round of applause. Thanks a lot, Maud. I'm going to let us continue to our next session, which is engaging in coaching conversations, and that's going to be led by Dorothy Chanakira, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly, Dorothy. So I see Dorothy has the screen there. So Dorothy, with engaging in coaching conversations, the screen is yours, Dorothy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and welcome District 74 leaders. I like the idea that we are talking about coaching today and coaching conversations. This is where I believe we are moving from just being happy being in kindergarten to getting to college. Can I ask for a volunteer to please put this in the chat box, because we are going to be discussing this. Do I have a volunteer who can type accurately? Just one person.
I can type for you if you wish, Dorothy.
Yes, please. So this is a quotation and opening quotes. As a coach, I will not be dishing out cinnamon rolls. Full stop. I will be giving you the brick and mortar to build your dreams. Full stop and closing quote. Dorothy Chanakira, DTM. And this is a good opportunity for you to just clap, clap, clap for your coach. Right, fellow Toastmasters and friends, as a coach, I will not be dishing out cinnamon rolls, but I'll be giving you the brick and mortar to build your dreams. Gary, what do you think that means? I like it. You know, when you're a coach, when you're the teacher, you get the privilege to pick on others to speak. Gary, what do you think about that quote?
I think it's a very insightful quote, Coach Dorothy, and I think what you're sharing with us is the fact that you'll be giving us some of the tools that we can use.
Thank you, Gary, for that response. Coaching conversations. Toastmasters is where leaders are made, and I will share a slide. Allow me to share my screen. And I will share some slides and we will go through them very quickly because we want to have more conversation than the slides. Right. I can see I am not in full view for whatever reason. So play in full screen. Right.
Coach, I think you need to click play. So play.
Play.
Yes, yeah.
Awesome. So we are there. Let me just move this toastbar away from here. Right. So when we are talking about coaching and mentoring in Toastmasters, I like the definition that is given by a coach of all time. This is Coach John Wooden, who says, success is peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction in knowing you made the effort to become the best of which you are capable. Why coaching? Why mentoring? Can you please go into the chat box if you have a coach? Just put in a yes or no in the chat box if you have a coach. And Bert, if you can just please shout out the responses in the chat box, because I'm not seeing the chat box. Do you personally have a coach or a mentor? Do you have a mentor? Do you have a coach in the chat box? Let me just hear whether we have a coach or a mentor.
There are several yeses and several no's.
Awesome, awesome, thank you. Let's stay together. The purpose of coaching is to unlock people's potential to maximize their own performance. It is helping them to learn rather than teaching or telling them. That's the purpose of coaching. It is to actualize potential. It is when we move from just wishy-washy evaluations to evaluating to motivate the Toastmasters way, as DTM Tendai alluded. It is about creating meetings that give a lasting impressions, that have at the backdrop the idea of making sure the guests come back, that the guests commit. The next thing that we need to look at is that there are certain universal principles that we need as guidance as when we coach. We want to provide clear direction. We want to foster collaboration. We want to motivate achievement. Where are we going? As Toastmasters, we want to move from becoming members of Toastmasters to doing Toastmasters to becoming or to being effective Toastmasters, effective communicators and leaders. So there is a delicate dance in coaching. I know we need people to feel good and we motivate them, and you know we sugarcoat their engagement, or you know we sort of handle each other with kid gloves. But we are saying when we get to coaching, it's for those that are serious. I like that we've said these are secrets to achieving more. And secrets is because these are not the things that we talk about every day, but this is the behind the scenes. This is the things that you tell people that are serious. And so the delicate dance goes with, what are you supposed to do? What are they supposed to do? The people that you are coaching. So as a Toastmaster, you need to either be being coached or you are coaching. Isn't it when we join Toastmasters, we get mentors, we are assigned mentors to support us on the journey. And when we get to level 3, mentorship is emphasized deeper in pathways. So what we are saying is, yes, we have enrolled, yes, we have been initiated into the program, but we are remembering this program is an educational program, which requires that we learn more about communication and we learn more about leadership. And the only way we can learn more is when we have certain responsibilities with our learning. So a coach's responsibility is to set high, though achievable standards, is to guide members, offer support, give advice, and provide honest and value-adding feedback, encouraging teamwork. We are saying you need to move from being successful to be significant. You need to be moving, and I think it is everyone's desire, to move from being a Toastmaster to becoming a distinguished Toastmaster, not only in terms of having an accolade, but having, I like what DTM Nikki says, having a gravitas that goes with the title of the role. so that when you approach anything that you are approaching, you are dealing with people, whether it's in your workplace, whether it's at home, and you are a Toastmaster, you exude the essence of being a Toastmaster. So it's now moving from just putting on the name Toastmaster to becoming a Toastmaster, from just learning to be an effective speaker to becoming a better speaker. I think Verity moved from just being a speaker in a club to becoming a speaker who could actually win contests, to becoming a speaker who could actually win an international contest and inspire people to change the way they look at their lives. Because when you speak, you lead. So as coaches and coaching, you need that. And you need actually to harness a team, and a team in the sense that there is Toastmasters International giving you support, as in giving you an educational program and guidance. There is the mentoring aspect in Toastmaster, where you are using the acumen of members that have been there before, done that before, and they can support you in your growth as you pursue your learning paths. There is leaders in Toastmasters that can guide you and also hold your hand and support you in leadership. Like I promised, I would be scanning through very quickly because I want us to have the conversation. So there is steps that we have for effective coaching. So look at it both ways. Either you are the coach or you are the one that is being coached. We need these 5 steps to effective coaching. Before we go into these 5 steps, I would like you to please type in the coach box, into the chat box. Who are your coaches or personal development gurus that you like or follow or you are learning from? Let's have them in there. Who are you learning from? Who are you reading from? In the chat box.
Dorothy, there's some names appearing there. So Gary says Simon Sinek, Maud says John Maxwell, Sibusishu says Sikanyesile Mabena is my mentor. Viola says Bob Proctor.
Thank you, thank you. So these are some of the resources that are available to us. I always say that if we use the Toastmasters website alone or the Toastmasters magazine alone, we will do amazing with our own personal development and growth. And if we then draw from all these gurus that are out there, and now with the internet, ignorance is no defense. We can go to the resources that we have and learn, so we evolve into better communicators and better leaders. I want us to also be very cognizant of the fact that we are bound by our values and the Toastmasters promise. And if we study and take to heart the essence of these values and this promise, we can do much better. Integrity, respect, service, excellence. I like it when Maud says we respect time. We should respect other people's time. Are we being integrous? Do we respect each other? Are we serving? And excellence is a virtue. So as we are talking about our coaching conversations, we are saying that if these are our values, let's live them out loud. That's the only way we can then move from success to significance as Toastmasters and as leaders. So at the end of the day, when we are coaching and being coached, and we are mentoring and being mentored, we want to really show that we have become better, we have progressed, that we are empowered. And empowered for what? Toastmasters is where leaders are made. If we are doing things effectively at club level, at your area of responsibility level, then we can boast about putting Toastmasters or becoming the best foot that Toastmasters have. These are my details. If you need more on coaching conversations, you can reach out to me there. So I want to stop sharing, and I would like you to really come closer and let's talk about coaching conversations in Toastmasters. We have heard again from Tendai how to motivate, to evaluate, to motivate. We have heard from Maud how to make impressive events to attract guests and to make sure that we win Toastmasters. Why do we need coaching, or why does the mentoring have a place in Toastmasters? Can we have people rising up their, not rising up, but just shouting out their answers? It's okay. Let's talk to each other. Yes.
It's Nale here. Maybe as we start setting the scene for this coaching conversation, you could tell us the difference between mentoring and coaching, because I think in Toastmasters, a lot of us think it's the same thing, but it actually isn't. So maybe just set the scene and tell us the difference, and then we can start the conversation on that note. Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Maud. I'm not too sure about the differences as well, but what is mentoring? Mentoring in Toastmasters, let's just talk about the practical side of mentoring. When you join Toastmasters, you are assigned a mentor. Somebody who will take you through maybe the first three, right? The first three projects. That's your mentor. And ideally, you would probably be talking to them. I'm going to do my icebreaker, and what are you going to talk about? You know, you will have 7 minutes to talk about it, and they hold your hand and you go and speak, you get an evaluation. That's all right. That's not what we are talking about. We want to talk about coaching. We want to coach you, Maud, to be a better Toastmaster. Hence, we are saying, let's draw not just from the fact that you have your mentor who you see once at the Toastmasters meeting. Let's read from John Maxwell on leadership, so that when you are club president, you can, you know, give more. You also learning and developing more as a leader. So let us dispense with the nitty-gritties of what is mentoring. I mean, what is the difference, or the divisions between mentoring and coaching? We are saying coaching is when we get deeper into developing you as a person. Personal development is what we are talking about. Mentoring can be coaching, and coaching can be mentoring. We can use the words in, you know, as synonyms. It's all about drawing the most out of you. So on the one hand, it's giving you support, as much support as you can. And at the same time is to probe you, to say, we know there's more in there, so let's pull it out. And you cannot force coaching on anyone, but for those that are willing to take their game to the next level, coaching is the inner game, or, you know, that thing to aspire to say, I want to just not be successful. I want to be significant. I just don't want to tick a box. I want to be a leader that has impacted lives. So that's what we want. That's what we want our conversation to center around. Right. Is that good, or is that good? So let's start that way, DT and Maud. Let's start there. Mentoring, coaching. We don't even need to talk about mentoring in pathways. We've got the information, level 3. We can draw from that. Let's talk about coaching. Do you have a coach, Viola? And what has a coach done for you in your life? Remembering Toastmasters is not an end in itself, it's a means to an end. Do I have Viola or anyone who wants to contribute to this discussion? Hello? Hello, am I alone here?
Let me go. I've already spoken, but I can go again. So
Yes.
I have found I'll speak about Toastmasters. So I don't have a coach in Toastmasters. I have one in my personal life. But I think if there's maybe something specific that you're wanting to work on within Toastmasters, so maybe you want to learn how to give better feedback or better evaluations, or you're about to take on a leadership role and you're not sure how to take on that role and that person's come to you for assistance with that. That is a great start in terms of a coaching conversation. What do you want to achieve and how do we get you there so that you can be the best version of yourself as you achieve that milestone? So that has been one of my greatest learnings about coaching, especially in Toastmasters.
Thank you for that, Maud. Viola, over to you now.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. For me, when I joined Toastmasters, I didn't know what to do. I was lost because I had a short space of time for me to improve myself and really do something. The person who was my mentor, who helped me join Toastmasters, became my speech coach as well. They said to me, I was not projecting my voice enough. And they took me through a speech coach training. It was intense, it was a few weeks, but at the end of it, I became a better speaker, better presenter. I was able to project my voice better than before. So I did start with a speech coach early on as a Toastmaster. I also then got to have coaches that helped me along. One of my coaches is Coach Dorothy Chanakira. She has been pushing me to do the best that I can in every situation. So like she said, she didn't give me cinnamon rolls. I was just presented with tools of what to do, and then I would have to perform to the best of my ability with guidance. So for me, that helped me along the way. I wouldn't have done a lot of the things that I have done if I didn't have coaches around. Thank you.
Thank you, Viola, for sharing that. Regai, I think I can pick on you. We say Toastmasters is not an end in itself, but it is a means to an end. I know that Toastmaster Regai did broadcast on a show where she was conversing on women's issues. Toastmaster Regai, can you please tell me what you can share on coaching in Toastmasters and what you think coaching conversations can help us in Toastmasters? Toastmaster Regai.
Thank you, Coach Dorothy. My apologies, I'm not going to turn on my camera. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Yes, I was on air, and I'm glad and happy to say that you evaluated me and you brought out the things that I thought I had done well personally, or maybe because I was talking to somebody who doesn't understand or doesn't know what Toastmasters is. And when you are in that environment, sometimes you think you know it all, but you brought out the issues that I also said, yes, I missed out on this one and I did not do well on this one. I would say coaching, yes, is very important in life. And as we take it for granted sometimes, when you are faced with such situation, then you think, I need somebody to take me through. Before going for this event, I would have, if I had a coach, I would have sat down and we could have maybe discussed this. And when I was going to be presenting, I knew I was going to take it on and understand what exactly that I'm going to be talking about, though I knew I did it. For coaching, to me, sometimes I will take it as a way of trying to address a specific need. If you want to develop your leadership skills, certainly you will look for a coach who's going to be coaching you through those skills until you are refined and you exceed those expectations. So for coaching, I definitely feel it's for a specific area, though you can go overboard, but for a specific skill or specific talent that you want to work on. And I must say, Coach Dorothy, I always come to you to ask for 1 or 2 tips and you give me, but I've not asked you to be my coach, but I always take that leaf out of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So we heard about John Maxwell. You know, you probably have never, come in contact with John Maxwell, but you can draw your learning from somewhere else. The idea is getting this learning outside of Toastmasters to support your growth as you become a better leader. Remember, I said earlier, the idea is to move from just being successful to being significant, from just being a Toastmaster to becoming an effective Toastmaster, from moving from becoming a leader in Toastmasters and becoming a more effective leader in Toastmasters, moving from being a good communicator to being that inspiring communicator who will transform others' lives. Can I ask Tapelo to say something on coaching? Tapelo, are you on the call? Tapelo.
Hi. Yes, for me, I'm at a point where I haven't had a coach. I've recently joined Toastmasters and recently got a mentor, but also on a Toastmaster side of things. So like you were saying, she's helping me with my speeches and also how to deliver them. I'm also in the market looking for a coach, someone who's going to be looking at life with me in the context of its entirety, like being a father, being a leader at work, being a supporter to a friend or something like that. So those are the things, some of the challenges that I've seen that I'm experiencing, and you may think that it's easy and simple, but it's it gets really difficult for some other people. So that's my plan, and pretty much Toastmasters is giving me a good guide in terms of giving me confidence and also public speaking. So I thank my mentor Esther for that. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. So this is the beauty of Toastmasters. We have an array of Toastmasters who are more proficient in certain disciplines than you are, and you have access and the gift of connection because they are Toastmasters, and they could be in your club, they could be in your area, they could be in the district, they could be in Toastmasters International. The idea is to be able to draw from their expertise and knowledge. And in Toastmasters, you can actually access them easier than when you are not in Toastmasters because you have the member ticket. And so if I say, Fari, I would like mentorship on this aspect, they can guide me. And as you continue to dig deeper and develop yourself more, you find that you become even more and more proficient. I have how many minutes left, Mr. Chair?
The amount of time left is about 5 minutes.
Good. So I think we have 2 other people to do contributions, and then we can wind off this session. 2 more contributions. Do I see Khao Latte Gwindi? How can you say something about coaching, this coaching conversation? Let's talk about it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, DTM Dorothy. I knew that you were going to call me out next.
Like, seriously.
That's what coaches do. But in a very competitive world, the world that we live in, with the changes that are frequently happening, it is impossible to make it without someone who has gone before you in any particular area and someone who has a proven track record of success. And so learning from their successes as well as their mistakes positions us to make greater strides in the areas in which we want to succeed. So I have a coach who I've not called a coach, but it's definitely something that I want to pursue. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hao, for that feedback and for attracting my attention to you. You managed to do that very well. So Valentine Sasa. Let's get involved in this coaching conversation. Valentine. Valentine, are you coming? Or maybe Estelle. Valentine, I think, is on mute. Estelle, please, can you join us in this conversation?
Good morning. Sorry, I'm audible. My network is a bit.
Yes.
Perfect. When I joined Toastmasters, I received the Toastmaster Rebecca, and she's been out of this world amazing. She's still mentoring me, and I'm in a year later, I'm still a Toastmaster, and she's still in the back lines, just every now and then, just checking up. Are you okay? Are you handling it? She's not even in our club, and she's just checking up, just seeing how are you doing? Do you need help with anything? That was my mentor experience. Thank you. I see Noma's hands up.
Right. Thank you. And so, Noma, you can go. Thank you very much for the contribution. Noma.
Hello, everyone. I hope I am audible.
Yes, you are.
Okay. For me, I will think mentoring and coaching, the difference, and then I'll explain in my personal capacity. Mentoring in Toastmasters helps you. As soon as you join, you are assigned a mentor. That mentor helps you take the baby steps in improving. Say, for example, I joined Toastmasters to learn public speaking or to improve my presentation skills or whatever the path that I would have selected. The mentor walks with me during the first few months, helping me in the baby step just to understand and maneuver around pathways and what to say, how to say it, how to evaluate. I remember when I first joined, I'll send my mentor my voice recordings of my icebreaker and other speeches, the first speeches, and then they'll go through and say, there, I think you should do this, here you should do that, and stuff like that, and I would resend. So that, for me, mentoring, I've looked at it that way. It's more baby steps, taking you to the next level till you grow. And then coaching, for me, is not assigned. For me, coaching is a personal decision. Or someone may, for me, I felt when I got to a certain level, not that I've dropped my mentor is still there, but people start noticing something that I may not notice about myself. And then I start realizing that in order for me to get to a next level, I need to look for like-minded people or people who have gone to certain strides. So for me, a coach is someone who takes you to levels beyond. I hope I'm clear. So mentoring for me is more baby steps, and then coaching is pushing me to the next boundaries. So I remember when I used to watch Toastmasters when virtual, and before then, I'll be watching people like Coach Dorothy, attending meetings, giving presentations, teaching and attending meetings, energetic, big visuals, lovely presentations, and all the great meetings that she, and just watching personal life. I just met her at a conference that was outside Toastmasters. And for me, I said, I want to tap into this. I want to tap into this. So I start following it. Yes, I've got others, Jim Rohn, John Maxwell, Bob Proctor, but in my vicinity, in my nearby, in Division Z, I've got someone that I call a coach. I watch his steps. And recently, we went to the convention together, ladies and gentlemen. Only a coach will expose you to those levels of Toastmasters, or those levels of leadership. And recently, she introduced us to Read Along. I'd never read the magazine. I used to receive it, but I promise you I'll just read and sleep. But lately, I find that she has just opened my eyes to a bigger world of Toastmasters, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Coach, and thank you, everyone. So that's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you, Noma, and thank you everyone for joining us in engaging in the conversation on coaching. So it's a conversation that we want to continue to have. I'm grateful for the opportunity to share and facilitate it with and alongside you, but think about it. We want to move from baby steps to becoming better, to becoming more, to becoming more effective. We want to, DTM mode, move from just posting pictures to posting pictures on social media that say something. They say a picture will say 1,000 words. But if our pictures are not excellent, then what 1,000 words are being portrayed in the world there? So that's where we see excellence. Excellence is a value. There is always a better way of doing things. Let's find it. We need to market Toastmasters, not demarket it. And we can easily demarket it if we are not excellent, if we don't move with integrity, and if we don't serve, because it is in service that we become distinguished. So thank you very much, and back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dorothy. And I want to call for everyone for another round of applause, for Dorothy. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we still have the session from Gary Tintinger, which is the one I'm particularly interested in because I've been involved in some hybrid meetings and the challenges involved with that. So I'm sure we're going to be learning something from Gary. So Gary Tintinger, Mr. Fellow Zoom Master, if you can bring him up alongside me. Gary Tintinger with running effective hybrid meetings with Gary Tintinger. Let's welcome him.
Thank you, Mr. Zoom Master. Thank you, Toastmaster Teron. And ladies and gentlemen, I have a great pleasure in addressing you today. What I'm hoping to do is a few things at once. I want to talk to you about hybrid meetings. I want to talk to you about effective hybrid events. I want to talk to you about online meetings. And I also want to demonstrate some of the tools that we have available to us and some of the opportunities that that's presenting to us now. And one of those tools is something called Mentee, and it's an engagement tool. So I did pop it into the chat box there. You'll see that there's a link to mentee.com. And I really would like to encourage you to please navigate there on your smartphone or on your laptop. Go to mentee.com, and so you can either click on the link or what you can do, and I'm going to do a quick switcheroo. In fact, let me show you one of the other tools that we have available to us. So a tool that is available is using different cameras, and I'm now switching to a new camera, and on that camera what I'll be doing is showing you another screen, and if you have a look at that screen, you'll see it says please go there to mentee.com, and when you're at mentee.com you type in that code 40829432. Let me stop that screen share. So before we go any further, I think it's time for a little bit of entertainment. And what I want to share with you is, I don't know if any of you have seen this particular little video clip, but what it is what would be happening if online meetings were held in kind of real time. So what I would like to do is, again, this is one of the engagement tools that we have. We have the opportunity to share video and all sorts of fun things. So I'm going to share my video right now. It's going to move across to there. And I'm using what's called sharing part of the screen so that I can navigate there. All right, so let's have a look at this particular video clip.
Trip Crosby has joined the meeting. Beth has joined the meeting.
Hello?
Tyler?
No, this is Beth from ICS.
Oh, hey, Beth. How are you doing?
Oh, good. Yeah. Just making it, you know.
Tyler has joined the meeting. All right, well, this is Trip. Who's here? Tyler's here.
Beth's here.
Okay, the purpose of today's meeting is to discuss the...
Yeah, I'll be able to do it in like 30 minutes. John
has joined the meeting. Hi, John. Hi. I was just trying to go over the purpose of today's meeting, which is to discuss the deliver... Tyler has joined the meeting.
Sorry, guys, I got cut off. Is Paul here? Send him an invite.
Put in your access code.
No, that's your PIN number.
It should be a 9-digit number.
Try pressing the pound key.
Paul has joined the meeting. Any questions before we move on?
Yes, this is Beth. What's our best plan of attack for the second quarter?
Question
what
actually...
we should do...
Oh,
go ahead. Oh, well, I think what we should do
it actually really depends on how you look at it, because
really
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Given sales, we're at
let me just say that.
Okay.
That's a great graph, John. Tyler?
Well, my main concern with the projections from last year was that they're just insufficient. I mean, they're not even taking into account.
Did we lose Tyler again?
Hello?
John, are you guys taking distributions? John?
Oh, my bad. I was on mute. Let me start over.
So I've prepared a presentation. I'm sharing it with all of you. You should be able to see it on your screen right now.
Got it.
I don't see a link anywhere.
It says I need to download a plugin.
We are all using Macs, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
How can you?
Financials are looking great. Paul, do you have any comments on staffing?
I was thinking about that because we get a few more contractor types in. Hold on, I'm sorry.
Rex, get down!
I don't know. I feel like when I looked at the numbers last quarter, that you couldn't really tell a huge difference. So if we were to really tighten that up, then I don't
To me, staffing is a huge impact.
Is that?
Is that me?
It's not me, I don't think.
I just want to go over a couple of details as we move into our next section here. We got 3 new departments coming on board.
We're breaking up a little bit, guys.
By the end of Q3.
Driving to
So
a dead
I need
spot.
everyone to give me detailed evaluations each
Sorry,
month
guys.
so that we know. That's it, guys. Beth, you'll send out a recap email that could have basically taking the place of this whole meeting, correct?
Yep, always do.
Yeah, thanks for doing that, Beth. Dave, you been here the whole time?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, thanks everyone once again.
How funny is that? Does that look like any meetings you've attended recently? Well, and it really does kind of bring it home to us, both the power and the distraction of online meetings. So as much as I want to talk about hybrid meetings, what's really, really important is that we really kind of understand that, or in fact, it was Nale who corrected me. And whilst I was sitting, I quickly changed the word meeting everywhere to Toastmasters events. I hope you're proud of me, Maud. So we're talking about running hybrid events, but what's really important is that we also understand this online space. So just by a show of hands, who thinks that this is what a hybrid event would look like? So from a production point of view, that's what you're going to have to put together. Lots of technology, lots of computers, and is that what a hybrid event is going to look like? Well, to be honest, that's what I thought hybrid events were going to look like. And I thought, wow, there's going to be a whole lot of technology that we're going to need in that space. And as it turns out, it's not that bad. But one of the things that's really important before we move on is I want to just ask the question about the understanding between a webinar and an online event. So could anybody, and you're welcome to either type it in or unmute yourself and tell me what you think the difference is between a webinar and an online event. So an online event like this that we're participating in now. Okay, what I'll do is I'll share with you the difference. A webinar, you have a presenter who's on screen, busy presenting, and you don't see anybody else. You literally just see the presenter. There's no other engagement. And so you have this person talking, and I liken them a little bit to a TV presenter. So a TV presenter gets to talk to the camera. That's all they do. There's no feedback. There's no engagement. And for me, I think that's one of the biggest things we're missing in this online space is that engagement. So from a Toastmasters perspective, we know what happened. We moved into a pandemic condition, and we all had to pivot online, and we engaged on this online space. We were forced into the space. And one of the things that I think that has happened, and certainly I'm guilty of it myself, is so many of us are presenting our speeches sitting behind a computer, but we're reading our speeches. Do you remember the nerves when you had to prepare a speech beforehand? You had to memorize that speech. Then you had to go stand up at the front of the room and deliver that speech. And remember body language, remember vocal variety, remember the words, control the butterflies. A lot of that has kind of gone away. And I'm really looking forward to getting us back into an online kind of meeting environment where we really get challenged as speakers to lift our game. So before I go further into hybrid meetings and online meetings, I want to remind us a little bit of what Toastmasters has kind of suggested in terms of feeling confident in online meetings. Okay, so this is, and I'm going to pop it up into the chat box a bit later. It's a PDF resource available for Toastmasters International. And on that note, there are so many resources available from Toastmasters International. So this is a little guideline on how to be comfortable in an online space. Now, what that means is that we should, in this space, at this event, we should all have our cameras on. We should all be engaged. I should be able to see who my audience is, because I'm going to, I think it's our top right. If you look a little bit above the light, that little light that's shining down there, what does that light say? It says, treat it like any other meeting. So an online meeting should be no different to an in-person meeting. the way we show up to an in-person meeting, the way we prepare for an in-person meeting, the way we dress for an in-person meeting is the same as the way we should show up, dress, and kind of present ourselves in a, in this online space. The way we do it in person, online, there should be no difference. So I wanted to just share that with you. So what I'll do is to help you through that a little bit as well. I've got, again, I want to show you a resource that's available from Toastmasters International. I'll give you these links as well. And I'd like to encourage you to share these links with people that are coming to your meetings beforehand. So I'll do the little share screen portion of screen again, and now it's already set up. So it should be pretty quick as it navigates there. So these are 7 tips for attending online meetings. This is stuff we should have learned a year ago, and going forward, I think we should be lifting our game in this online space as well.
Hi, I'm Kate Wingrove, Training and Development Director with Toastmasters International. Online meetings are becoming an increasingly popular way to connect, whether in your Toastmasters club, at work, or just as a way to connect with friends. Here are a few tips to follow as you participate in an online meeting. Test your technology. It's always a good idea to set up and test your technology before the meeting starts. Make sure your camera, headphones or speakers, and microphone are all working before your meeting, not during. We recommend joining meetings early, especially if you're going to speak during them, for just this reason. Eliminate noise. If possible, join online meetings while sitting in a quiet space. Before the meeting starts, try and eliminate any noises that may be distracting, including silencing your phone. Your microphone may pick up background noise, and that can be a major distraction for other meeting participants. Mute your microphone. To take the previous tip a step further, we recommend muting your microphone whenever you aren't speaking. This simple step is an easy way to guarantee that background noises, movements, breathing, or other sounds don't distract from whoever is currently speaking. When it's your turn to speak, just remember to unmute your microphone. Make eye contact with your camera. Eye contact is an important part of any speech, and it's something that people struggle with when meeting online. The best way to mimic eye contact online is to focus on your webcam and not your screen or anything else around you. If it helps, you can make this fun by attaching googly eyes or a smiley face to your webcam. Think about your background. If there is anything in your background that may be distracting, try and move it before the meeting. Some online meeting platforms allow you to blur your background, while others allow you to change it altogether. These are both good options to hide what otherwise might distract speakers and fellow meeting participants. Use proper lighting. If you're going to be on camera during an online meeting, it's important to make sure others can see you. To ensure that happens, work in a well-lit room and avoid having any lights point directly at your camera. Treat it like any other meeting. Online meetings may be awkward at times, but behaving as you normally would in person will make it less so. Dress, speak, and behave like you would during any other meeting, and you'll be just fine. If you wouldn't do it during an in-person meeting, don't do it in an online one. Follow these tips and you'll be contributing to successful online meetings in no time.
There we go, exactly what we were saying. Treat an online meeting the same as we would treat an in-person meeting. And what I'd like to do now is, and this is, I think, one of the benefits of a hybrid meeting, because what I want to do now is we're going to go to, hopefully you've all been able to go to mentee.com. I'm going to change my camera view. Did you see that switcheroo? Did you see that I changed cameras? It was so, come on, that was slick. That was properly slick. I've been practicing it. So what I want to do now is I want to go to Mentee. Hopefully you all engaged with Mentee. You've got your laptops there or your screens there. I'm going to go to normal screen share now. So this is basic screen share, and I'm going to share my Mentee screen. Are we all at Mentee? Give me a thumbs up. I want to know that we're there, because there could be prizes at hand. There we go. All right. So hopefully you've gone to Mentee. Let's see. And we are at Toastmasters hybrid events. So first engagement I want to ask for is, let's have a look at this. So the idea is you can type in and you can add a whole number. Is what is the most important element of a hybrid event? So what I'll do is I'll give us 30 seconds to do that. Just type in what you think are the most important elements of a hybrid event. Anybody managing? Are we all there at Mentee? Has it invited you? I'm not getting any engagement. Not a problem. Oh, there we go. I got some. Behave like it's in person. Good camera and lighting. Yes. So there we go. So we've got some people engaged with us. Let's go to the next. So next on Mentee is we're going to have a competition. We've got a couple of questions. So I'm looking for some. There we go. Some participants. Participants are joining us. We're going to ask the questions, and you need to remember that this is a fastest finger first type scenario. So the quicker you answer, the better. So this is multiple choice, and let's see if you can correct answers give maximum points. Okay. Who is the most important person in a hybrid event? Okay, so is it the speaker? Is it the Toastmaster of the day? Zoom master? Audience? Oh, wow, that went really quick. Okay, that was a trick question. It really was a trick because they're all important. They're all massively important. But probably the most important, I think, is the audience member, is people in the audience. Let's go to the next question and just see. Oh, we have a leaderboard. We've got, there we go. We tie there. Okay, congratulations. Now remember, we need to move quickly. So we've got because that was a trick question, I'm going to do it again. I want to ask the question again. And this time, I wonder if I can have a shorter countdown. Okay, so question 2, but I think it's going to go really, really quick here. Answer, you know that's the same question. Let's see how you answer. Correct answer for maximum points. Look at your phone. Who's the most important person? Okay, I tricked you. I tricked you and you fell for it. I cannot believe you fell for it. You should not have listened to me. I said that it was the audience member. That was just distraction. Yes, there were 2 people that answered it correctly. The most important person in a hybrid meeting is, in fact, the Zoom master. So let's see who's right up there. Well done. We have Estelle and Valentine with those 2 answers. That, I think, is the end of our presentation. And thank you for enjoying this Mentee with me. So really all that was a demonstration of some of the tools that we have available to us. And what I love about something like Mentee is that you can use it in an in-person and hybrid meeting. So whether I'm sitting in the room and I'm on my mobile phone, I can participate. Whether I'm at home, I can participate. So that's just one demonstration. The other one that I showed you was the Zoom videos, or not Zoom videos, YouTube videos. So I could show a video in the room, and people participating from home would be able to enjoy that as well. So let's just really look at a definition of a hybrid meeting. So the hybrid meeting is effectively where some of the participants are physically present in the room, so they're locally present in the room, and the rest are participating via Zoom or one of the other web conferencing tools, and they're at remote locations. What are the benefits of that? Why would we want to do that? Well, number one is it accommodates the needs of each and every individual who are able to attend in a format that is most comfortable and convenient for them. So that's a really, really good thing. And it's also really effective where there's a need for or anything in an external event that would prevent somebody from getting there. So I know a lot of people would, for example, love to join the Rosebank Breakfast Toastmasters, or rather we call ourselves Carpe Diem Breakfast Toastmasters now, but it's a bit early for them, so the traffic inhibits them. But if they could join remotely, they would be there. So when there's inclement weather or traffic or anything of that nature, a hybrid meeting would also allow people to participate. And it's also helpful in rural locations where members may have long commutes to reach meeting locations. And of course, it means you can attend other meetings, so at other clubs. So from my perspective, I think that really going forward, the hybrid meeting is 100% the way of the future for all Toastmasters events. And one of the things that I think is particularly evident in this country is that a number of our members, and we've learned this through districts, a number of members in district don't have access to high-speed internet. And we see it all the time that people are wanting to participate in a meeting, but literally they switch the camera on and the meeting drops. So if we could move to a hybrid scenario, because now it's opened up, we have social distancing, we've got protocols that we can observe, we are allowed to meet in person, and clubs have that prerogative, the ability to meet in person, which means that members that were previously, I suppose, at a disadvantage because they did not have access to the tools, can now come to that meeting in person and enjoy the engagement with other members of the club who might not want to come and join straight away. So let's have a look at what is required to participate or to run a hybrid meeting. So I'm going to switch my camera again. I'm going to go to this view, and you'll see now I'm back in Prezi, and Prezi is a wonderful free tool. So that I'm using the Prezi free version, and that allows me to do this. Boom, so I can say, okay, click it there. What are the things that we need in a hybrid meeting? So a hybrid meeting is literally, we need 6 things. We need a laptop. We need a high-speed internet connection. We need a microphone, ideally an external microphone. We need HD webcams. We need screen displays, and we need, or screens or displays, and we need a speaker. Not a speaker, I mean a speaker, like as in sound. We have lots of speakers. We're Toastmasters. Everybody's a speaker at Toastmasters. I mean a device, electronic device that will broadcast the sound. But now, you're probably saying, well, Gary, that's going to be hectically expensive. And so what I've done today is I spent a bit of time researching how to have set up a very inexpensive hybrid event, something that would be accessible to all clubs. So, number one, I want to talk to you about sound devices, about microphones, because that is probably, in my view, one of the most important things that we need at a virtual meeting or a hybrid meeting is audio. And audio does not need to be expensive. This audio device, and I'm going to show, there you go. That is a Boya, and it's the Boya lavalier microphone. Now you'll see I've got it on a little tripod. I'm going to go in camera. It's on a little tripod, and it could pop up. I also have this microphone. Now, this is an expensive microphone. This is a couple of £1,000. Any guesses on what this one costs? And I'm going to change my audio so you can hear me using this microphone. I'm going to change now to There we go. Let's see, is this microphone? And we're going to go USB microphone. Okay. I should be using the USB microphone. What does that sound like? Is it massively different from the expensive microphone? Or is it very similar? So if I go back to the expensive microphone.
It is different. One can hear a difference, but it's quite audible.
There we go. As opposed to now, if I go to, let's go to a laptop microphone. So let's go to this one over here. So that should be my laptop microphone. How good is the laptop microphone? Not very good.
I think it's much better than the Boya.
Yeah, it's much better than the Boya. The Boya was a bit hollow.
Okay, so now if I take the Boya and I do this with it, and I plug it over there, how does that sound now? So let me get that one going, and I'm going to go. How does that sound now?
The Boya is terrible.
Audible. So the point being is that sound is massively important, but you can get away with less expensive devices. So this device is something that you could have. Now, this is the little trick that I want to show you why I'm demonstrating this one to you. It has a very long cable, which means I can plug this into the laptop, and you can see the cable over there in the graphic on screen. I can plug that into the laptop, and I can move it around to the middle of the room so that it's central to where everybody is. You know, if the other speakers can then kind of use that speaker. So it now becomes a, what's the name, microphone. It becomes a conference, what do you call it? A meeting room microphone, conference room microphone, as opposed to just, trying to use the laptop microphone. And that costs all of 285 rand from Macro. So very, very inexpensive, and something that I think a lot of clubs might be able to use. The other thing that becomes really important to us is a HD webcam. So how many people think an HD webcam is very, very expensive? So what do you think? A few thousand rand for an HD webcam? They're not cheap, but what about this? So what this is this allows you to turn your smart device, your smartphone, into an HD webcam for free. So let me show you how that works. So literally, I'm going to switch cameras now. So I'm currently on the webcam. I'm going to change now cameras, and you can see my setup. And I can change the resolution. So I'll wave to you over there. I'm now using my phone as another HD webcam. And that phone could be positioned anywhere in the room. There's no cables on it. I'll turn it to face me. There you go. Hello. How are we doing? That literally is my phone being used as an HD webcam. So it's a bit of software that you download. It's the Urium webcam, and you'll see I'm going to go back to on screen now, going back to the Prezi camera, and you'll see Urium webcam for PC. You download that onto your laptop and onto your mobile phone, and your mobile phone becomes a wireless webcam. How amazing is that? Completely for free. High definition webcam that you could now have in your meeting room. The next thing that you need is speakers, and I think those speakers retail for about 175 rand. You could have those in the room, and everybody now, so everybody sitting in the room can hear from the Zoom master or from the remote users what it would look like. So this is effectively the setup that you need. So we went through it. You need your laptop with high-speed internet connected to a program such as Zoom or any of the ones that you're choosing to use. You then have your camera, which you can literally you can use. You don't need to buy a webcam. You could buy, just download the software, and you could set up 4 cameras around the room so that everybody remotely can be engaged. So you would have a camera set up, as we call it, the lectern camera. So somebody that's speaking to the room. You would then have a room camera, so people can see who's in the room. You have an external microphone that the speaker, when they come up to the lectern or to the podium, would then be able to be heard. And you have a projection device, or you would use a screen to show the other people in the room. So I said that I thought the most important person in the room was the Zoom master, because they effectively the bridge between your remote users, so people joining the meeting, also your remote members, people joining the meeting remotely, and the people in the room. So you have this bridge, and the bridge is a person and technology. And the technology, as I've hopefully demonstrated, doesn't have to be massively expensive technology. It's a combination of some software we can download, so you can use cameras, your mobile devices as smart cameras, a inexpensive lavalier microphone that can get around the room, and a high-speed internet. And that's where I think all of your members could contribute together and enjoy a much, much more enriching experience in a Toastmasters hybrid event. Thank you, Mr. Zoom Master.
Thank you, Gary. Yes, audio is one of the particular challenges in some venues, is by my own experience. Thanks a lot. Again, a round of applause for Gary.